something that concerns all of us, and something that countries and governments must prioritize, which is engaging and empowering young people on SDG 16 and the rule of law with education. And during the course of the session, we hope to explain to you why this matters, what SDGs and SDG 16 are all about, how this can be done, and some ideas and experiences. I know that most of you, if not all of you, are already working actively on the SDGs and even SDG 16 related themes. But we do hope that this session will help you gather some insights, which will help you replicate some efforts in the educational institutions in the coming months. And the aim is exactly this, that you extract some information, you initiate activities with your institution. The canvas is extremely wide, and UNODC, KNPS, and all of us together will amplify the work that is being done, support each other's work, foster cross learning, because this is a true coalition of partners. And at UNODC, we're also looking at sharing global expertise, tools, insights, and most importantly, a global platform to showcase your efforts. I have put two questions in the chat box if you would like to take a look, but these are two questions that we discussed recently with a group of policymakers, educators, and young people. We'll be grateful if you could comment on these, because it will be helpful to know the different kinds of thoughts that come in our minds and where we are coming from. Next slide, please. Fantastic. So this is a very interesting map. As you can see, there are different issues that resonate with us, whether it's peace, for example, with me. Some of you could say poverty, some of you could say inequalities, some of you would say, of course, climate. And these issues are more important than ever today. The world that we are living in is facing serious threats. You see on your screen right now the global risk interconnections map, which shows some of the critical social risks that the world faces today. We are living in an age of pandemics, conflicts, health risks, climate change, inequalities. The impact on our societies is huge. And you can see on your screen themes like widespread cybercrime and cyber insecurity, terrorist attacks, misinformation and disinformation, digital inequalities, geoeconomic confrontations, large-scale involuntary migration, among other issues. Uh, all of these, of course, lead and have an impact on social cohesion as well. Uh, you would agree that these have a profound impact on our communities, our societies, and whether we or the young people or other people know about them or not, these threats affect everyone in some way or the other. Next slide, please. Now, increasingly, drugs and organized crime are emerging as serious issues affecting the social fabric, economies, communities, and our young people. Right now, most nations are developing collaborative networks with other countries, with other institutions, and fostering multi-stakeholder responses to address these. Why? Because these are transnational issues. These are transnational problems, which means all countries are affected. It's not the responsibility or just one country that is affected. And such transnational problems require transnational efforts. For example, today, a cyber fraud, for example, is not limited to one country. A cyber fraud that may happen with one person may be originating from a particular country, maybe going through another country, and multiple countries get involved in issues like this. And these have a profound impact on our lives. For example, with organized crime, you look at money laundering, for example, which affects legitimate markets, human trafficking or trafficking in persons, where vulnerable populations are stand at the risk of exploitation. You have illicit trade, illicit trafficking of goods, which undercuts legal businesses. At the same time, issues like drugs, It's not just a health issue, there's also a law enforcement angle around it. You have a huge security impact right now vis-a-vis public safety. You have increasing healthcare costs and strains on healthcare systems. You have social impact on communities, on young people, women. Uh, Drugs also often are gateways into increasing crime or increasing risky behaviors. And of course, there's the economic impact of such activities. Next slide, please. Next, just click one more time or two more times. Yeah, one more time. Yeah. So this is what the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, where I work, works to prevent and address. UNODC is part of the United Nations Secretariat with a mandate to strengthen security, the rule of law, governance, and health. And our work is quite multifaceted and interesting. As you can see, we bring countries together, we develop and implement policies, we lead research. We have a huge lab in Vienna only on forensics. We do a lot of trends analysis, evidence-based support to institutions, supporting community interventions, but most importantly, working with educators, educational leaders, and young people, among others. Some of the issues that we work on are, in fact, you can see them on your screen, the greatest challenges that the world faces today, things like human trafficking, drug trafficking, criminal justice components, wildlife crime, maritime crime, crimes that take place by the sea, terrorism, among other things. And in this journey, we need guiding lights like each of you to strengthen the efforts and multi-stakeholder responses, because we believe that transnational problems require transnational and collaborative responses. Much of our work, most of our work actually is grounded in the Sustainable Development Goals framework. Next slide, please. How many of you are familiar with the SDGs? You could maybe raise hands. All right, I see a lot of hands already going up in the camera, which is interesting. So these are the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which are basically a to-do list for the planet that have been accepted by governments and societies after intense consultations in 2015. I believe the easiest way to understand the SDGs framework or to explain it to a young person is by thinking of it as a timetable that has been agreed upon by governments and societies. This timetable earmarks what needs to be done and by when. And the onus to realize this vision or this timetable, the onus to make this timetable successful lies on governments, on societies, on communities, all of us. Overall, there are 17 goals with 169 very detailed targets and indicators covering issues ranging from reducing poverty, inequality, gender justice, sustainable cities, education, and environment, among other things. The question that I had asked previously on one social issue that resonates with you, you can figure this out in this SDGs. One or two of the SDGs would always link to at least one or two social issues that you feel very concerned about. Um, and if you take a close look at this image, you would also realize that all goals are interconnected with each other, and one cannot be fully realized without the other being achieved or some progress being made on the other. For example, a link between SDG 3 and SDG 4 on health and education. If you have good education, if you have quality education, you get good doctors, good nurses. That has an impact on SDG 3, which is health. Similarly, if you have good health, if a child gets, for example, sanitation or good nutrition, it has an automatic impact on SDG 4 as well. There are also examples in which this can be understood or taught to a young person. For example, suppose there's a road that needs to be built to help ambulances come to a village. A village has no road near it, so a road is being built so that ambulances can come to this village. And this allows women, especially pregnant women or elderly women, to visit a hospital or the nearby clinic, which earlier they couldn't because there was no road. Men, of course, could take a cycle or go to the nearby hospital, but women, or especially vulnerable women, couldn't. How many goals do you think would be touched if this road were to be made? Um, SDG 5, of course, gender equality, because men and women have different access to the hospital. You have SDG 3, of course, if an ambulance is coming. You would also have industry, innovation, and infrastructure if a road is being built. You would have, of course, reduced inequalities, goal number 10. Very importantly, you would also have goal number 11 that would be affected, which is sustainable cities and communities. So just one road in this scenario would touch upon so many different goals. Now, all the goals are equally important, but there's one cornerstone of the SDG framework, one goal that is the Aladdin's lamp, I would say, or the bedrock of the SDG framework, which has a huge impact on the other goals, or without which the other goals cannot really be fully achieved. Can you guess which it is? Of course, the hint is there in the topic itself, but this is SDG 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions. Next slide, please. So you can maybe see that SDG 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions, you can already realize that this is a very critical goal. You cannot realize other goals without having some semblance of peace, some semblance of justice, and of course, strong institutions that will work to give you to strengthen efforts on the other goals. For example, the first thing that was shut during the COVID-19 pandemic, immediately when the crisis struck, was schools, was educational institutions. So as soon as there's conflict, as soon as there's a threat to peace or social safety, you have other goals automatically that start getting burdened. There are, of course, multiple countries across the world where wars are happening, conflicts are happening, and hospitals, healthcare systems are affected deeply. Education systems get affected deeply. Water access gets affected deeply. Access to basic services start getting affected. So this is a very critical goal, and some of the key areas that SDG 16 covers includes threats to peace and public order. Now you have themes like violence, crime prevention, anti-corruption, child abuse, illicit trade, non-discriminatory laws, which is very important, laws or rules that are binding on everyone and don't discriminate between different communities for whatever reason. You have participatory governance, where citizens have a stake in the governance processes. You have these different themes that are touched upon by the SDG 16 goal itself. And what this goal essentially is saying is that peace and the rule of law matter. Without peace, you cannot have progress on the SDG 16, on sustainable development goals. And sustainable development goals cannot progress without peace and security and justice. Overall, there are about 11 targets to be reached by 2030 under this. Next slide, please. All right. Yeah, this one. So some of these targets, as you can see, are on your screen right now. You have reducing violence everywhere. You have protecting children from abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and violence, which is something that all of us, I think, would want to work on and would be working on during the course of the Rise Up for Peace initiative. You have the rule of law and ensuring equal access to justice. The rule of law, of course, means it is about promoting a culture of lawfulness. It also touches upon, especially if you're looking at it from the perspective of a young person, becoming globally responsible citizens, acting in responsible ways. You have combating organized crime and illicit financial and arms flows, anti-corruption, developing strong institutions, which also is closely linked with corruption and governance related processes. You have responsible, inclusive, and representative decision making. This would also touch upon the fact that young people, especially, but all citizens should have a stake and should have access to people in power, to our public representatives. There should be dialogues going on, strengthen participation, not only of citizens, but also of communities in global governance and national governance frameworks, providing legal identities, ensuring access to information, and protecting fundamental freedoms, strengthening national institutions to prevent violence and organized crime, and enforce non-discriminatory laws and policies. So these are very comprehensive targets, which with even more detailed indicators. But I think one thing that you can easily say is that this goal is looking at reducing violence everywhere. That's the number one thing. It is closely linked to public safety and order. And essentially, what this goal is trying to say is that people everywhere need to be free of fear from all forms of crime and violence and feel safe in their lives, whatever their backgrounds. And also, to achieve the SDGs, we need effective and inclusive public and private institutions that can deliver justice, that can provide quality education, healthcare, and deliver on the other SDGs, which can promote fair and economic social policies and protect the environment. So SDG 16 is considered the cornerstone of the broader Sustainable Development Goals framework. Next slide, please. Yes. Now, SDG 16 is directly connected with young people and the world that they are living in. Because youth are not the future. This is something that we have read in stories as well, that youth are the future of the world. Yes, they are the future, but they are also the present. So it is not something that is going to happen later. They are also the present, and we should work for them. Now, the numbers speak for themselves. Half the world today is under the age of 30, and 1 in 5 people are between the ages of 15 and 24. Very interestingly, 90% of them, of the young people that we have in the world today, live in developing countries. And South Asia, the region where we are right now in India, South Asia is home to the world's largest youth population. Now, these young people are today very aware, very savvy with technology, especially very observant and intelligent. And theirs is a generation with high aspirations, with a clear message that nothing about us without us. Next slide. Yet, at the same time, they face a multitude of challenges. They remain extremely vulnerable right now in the world that we are living in. The impact on mental health, I believe, is a trigger point for a whole lot of risky behaviors, including drugs, crime, and other SDG 16 related issues. Now, on the screen is an actual drawing that was prepared by a group of seventh standard students that we were working with, grade 7 students, when they were asked, "What troubles you? What troubles you generally?" And this was a drawing that they prepared after consultation with each other as a group. And I believe it's a very revealing picture. You see words like taunting, bullying, teasing, spreading rumors, among other things. Imagine the impact on a young mind that is going on. And these are realities. These are all gateways to risky behaviors, abuse, exploitation, and are a serious threat to their safety. Um, as we saw, goal number SDG 16.2 actually is focused on protecting young people from exploitation, abuse, and such risky behaviors, such risky things. So this is something that we should keep in mind. WHO, the World Health Organization, estimates suggest that globally 1 in 7 10 to 19-year-olds experience a mental health disorder across the world. And depression, anxiety, and behavioral disorders stemming from uncertainties are among the leading causes of illness and disability among adolescents. So you have other themes as well. You have things like need for acceptance, socioeconomic influences, drug use, crime, and other things, cyber exploitation. But certainly something needs to change. Young people need to be actively sensitized, engaged, and meaningfully empowered on SDG 16, the rule of law, peace, and integrity with education. Next slide, please. Now, in this journey, young people must not feel as though they are merely an audience or an accessory. They must feel as equal partners or stakeholders, and their participation must be mainstream. The idea behind these efforts and the efforts that already some of you are carrying on is that we need to build essential qualities of a globally responsible citizen among young people. Uh, Essential qualities like integrity, where you know the difference between right and wrong, fairness, empathy, kindness, trainings with giving knowledge and skills to young people, social awareness, and the spirit to take action. Next slide, please. And this is a model where one ideates, learns, thinks, and then applies knowledge to act with values and ethics. Um, the education process should ideally be looking at this, educating learners to deepen their knowledge and developing skills on different themes, especially SDG 16, which will empower them to think, to strengthen critical and innovative thinking among young people, where they could discuss with peers. I'm a strong believer in peer-to-peer influence when everything is done right. And this thinking leads you into action, where you ideate, where a young person ideates, acts, and reflects with peers to develop confidence and socioeconomic resilience by actually pursuing actions. And all of this would lead to promoting a culture of lawfulness, values, integrity, and peace with education. Next slide. How do we do this? With one word, which is inspire. Integrating SDGs, peace, and integrity, and the roadmap for education. This is an imperative. Our experience at UNODC shows that an emphasis on enhancing integrity and ethics among young people, giving them responsibility with activity-based learning on SDG 16, helping them in developing a spirit of community of being a community of learners with peer-to-peer influence and empowering them to use their skills in taking action can be a true changer. And this can make young people, this has made young people emotionally strong. We have seen it with some of our work previously, behavioral changes, confidence to resist negative peer influences, which is very, very important. Next slide, please. Some ideas are there on the screen on how this can work. There are certain approaches. Of course, activity-based learning or experiential learning comes on top, where you have group works. You have simplified language. Often we make things too technical or too, too, I would say, knowledgeable for a young person to digest. We need to simplify our language approach and reach the students in a format that they are comfortable in, maybe with stories, maybe with activities, maybe now with multimedia. You have increasing knowledge sharing and collaboration among young people or among educators. That is vital because you can't have one size fits all approach, but more of cross learning, more of exchange of insights, some good practices here and there can be a very good model. Interactive formats using the SDGs framework where dialogues are promoted, a two-way dialogue, providing a safe space to young learners where they can ideate, think, and express freely is extremely critical. A series-based approach or a continuous approach in engagement. Um, One-off lectures of one-off events on special occasions does not work when it comes to behavioral change. A series-based approach for continuous engagement, a young person who knows that continuously there'll be something happening around a particular theme always works. And we may plan our activities accordingly. A mentorship, one-on-one mentorship, or at least group mentorship, and a platform where young people know their efforts will be recognized and showcased at the highest levels is extremely critical, and showcasing good practices at key forums. Now, this is what UNODC has been doing over the years, and this is what we hope to continue with Rise Up for Peace. Great things, and especially the good practices, good initiatives that are planned by your institutions can find a place at very key forums in different on different platforms, including social media, but also key forums that keep happening within the UN space. And not just for educators, it's also for young people, so that young people know that, okay, the work that I do will not disappear in the ocean and it will actually be recognized. So what we are trying to do is giving students a sense of purpose, of immersive and experiential learning, relevant to their skills, their interests, and their context, cultural context, which is where we feel that your participation matters. Next slide. Right. And this is where we come to Rise Up for Peace. This is where we are, what we are trying to do. We are trying to build a coalition of educational leaders around SDG 16. As we informed before, we will be empowering and training educators through sessions like these and even hands-on and in-person activities. Um, Inspiring and educating students around these issues, showcasing stories of impact, and engaging policymakers and leaders to mainstream education on these themes in the classroom. Very interestingly, all of this is very closely aligned with some of the key policies, at least here in India, but also in several other countries, and also with international declarations. For example, the Kyoto Declaration, which is the bulwark of a lot of work that happens around SDG 16 education. I would strongly encourage you to take a look at the Kyoto Declaration. A lot of insights there and a lot of ways where we can plug in our work for an international audience. Next slide, please. And these are some of the different themes that we will be working on in the coming months. SDGs and SDG 16, of course, right now, as we have discussed, but we can go even more thematic, even more deeper into each of these planning activities around innovative teaching methods, mental health, cyber, access to justice, drugs, and organized crime, and anti-corruption. And these are some of the key thematic areas that we are looking at. For each of them, there are global experts that are available for your students, where we can maybe come and hold a hybrid sort of a session continuously. We are also looking at doing in-person roundtables or in-person trainings in collaboration with your institutions. And we have time till December, but we could sort of start exchanging insights and ideas on what we want to do, plan ahead, which we will be doing in the next session. Next slide, please. And this is what I want to conclude with before I give the stage to Dr. Pandey, which is there's a lot of things to be done. You could look at tech for good, designing of social initiative around SDG 16, where young learners can actually initiate programs and activities around this theme with our mentorship. There are, of course, peer-led initiatives that have had tremendous impact previously. There are free educational resources and tools around these issues if you want access. I've already shared a few with the group, but even others, I'll be very happy to mobilize for you. And we do hope to see you for the monthly trainings or the regular trainings that keep happening and in initiatives that you are planning at your schools. It's a very simple equation that knowledge and actions can help us achieve SDG 16. Next slide. So with this, I conclude with, again, a call to action that let's rise up for peace. Let's plan interventions together. And we do hope to hear from you and hear your ideas and start working together in the coming days and weeks. Thank you very much. And now I hand over the stage to Dr. Ashok Pandey. Amanji, if Dr. Pandey's slide can be shown.
Yeah, thank you,
Dr.
Samar.
Pandey, yes, Dr.
Yeah,
Pandey, the floor is yours.
yes, thank you very much for your very comprehensive and insightful presentation, as always. Thank you for onboarding me. Thank you, Mrs. Dillon. You have been a great source of inspiration all these days. You have shouldered this Rise for Peace initiative, and you are one of the pillars. I compliment you and I thank you from the SDG community the world over for all that you have done. To all my friends who are here in the room, my greetings. And I'm so happy to come back to my community, which I think I was missing for a very, very long time. A couple of interesting things, Samarth, which you have said. You will and the audience here will find echo of all that that you have already said. Sometimes maybe repetition also. So I will begin with what we call the institutions. Ultimately, the defining message of what you said is that we have to bring this implementation of SDG 16 into our institutions. So institutions will become the laboratories and the ground where all these things will interplay. And hence, I thought for my audience, if we have to really take care of this UN's resolutions, what we call SDGs. And so let us see how it embeds into what we do in our schools. So therefore, let me first uh, remind you all that ultimately our schools are functioning with certain end goals in mind. And that is preparing our students or shaping their future, uh, bringing the global citizens, the future leadership, whatever way you would like to call it. And hence, uh, let us say that their economic uh, capability and employment opportunities they get, I think that everybody needs, we should have their health and well being, peace and prosperity, and the global citizenship. You know, if we had given this exercise to 124 people present here in this room, I think these four or five things will come on top. A very dominant purpose of schooling, and you will see here very clearly peace and prosperity, which I call goal number 16, is very much there. So that is at the beginning only. I'm making my intention very clear that how much importance we give to goal number 16. And for that, we need good infrastructure. So we need an enabling environment, we need resources, we need digital equality among other equalities. So that is also very, very important. Like the example Samar gave, that to achieve goal number 3, to provide medical assistance, we need a motorable road, which will form part of infrastructure. So infrastructure is very, very important. And we know what layers of infrastructure we have across the diversity of our country and many other countries as well. And once we have these end goals in mind and we have a good infrastructure, I think we should also have a very good policy in place. And that policy, again, goal number 16 comes there. And all these policies have to be learner centric because they are at the center in the sense that everything that we do is aimed at shaping their future. So I think whatever policies we have, those policies must be focused on them. And all these things cannot be done in a vacuum, or it cannot be done on an open field, or it cannot be done in a forest. Since we are educators, we have the crucial responsibility. We have to do it in our respective institutions. And all of us have to bring them in the institutions, and those institutions, again, through our education and through knowledge and skills and values and attitudes, character building comes at the center, which will form part of goal number 4, as we say. We have to develop human capital. And of course, we have to develop sustainable communities, which will ultimately lead to goal number 16. So this should be the tasks given to institutions. And that will generate a very good culture on our campuses. And again, that culture should be based on equity and values. And therefore, the goal number 10 and goal number 4 comes into picture. So once we had looped in this cycle from future skills to infrastructure to policy to institutions to culture, I think we will have a rebooted education to embed this UN resolution that we are talking about. So that is my case, that is my intention, and that is how I would place that in our institutions, whatever we do how do we map everything with one of these UN resolutions or SDG goals, as we call it. Next slide, please, Nisha. Now you see, Samarth has also hinted at it. You see these various icons of these goals, and when initially when these goals were announced, since I came from the education background, I invested a lot in goal number 4 because I still believe it. I still invest in it. I'm not saying that I have divorced that because I always considered goal number 4 at the fulcrum of all the goals, and also goal number 4 as stand-alone goal. But if you see this like a neural network, this is the network of goals and their targets and their indicators. So if you just see at the right hand side, goal number 16, now how closely it is related to goal number 10, goal number 4, goal number 6, and 11. And even if it is not directly seen in the picture, 16 goes to 10 and 10 goes to 1. Now, 1 is poverty and 10 is reducing inequalities, and that will lead to goal number 6. I mean, this is how we have to look at the interconnectedness of all these goals. So when I said that I invested in goal number 4 and I still continue to, I had a fresh look at goal number 16. And now I define the value of goal number 16 within this committee of all the 17 goals. I, I have to say here that goal number 16 is the goal of all the other 16 goals. Because whatever we do through the remaining goals, 1 to 15 and 17, they all lead to goal number 16. So that is where the importance of goal number 16 lies. And on the other hand, in its own right, goal number 16 is so important that we have achieved everything. And if we don't achieve this, then it means that we have not achieved anything else. I think that is the way that we have to look. And therefore, Samarth, what you said was that knowledge plus action is goal number 16. Now look how it plays. Knowledge is goal number 4. And that is why I said it is fulcrum. Action are the remaining 15 goals. So goal number 4 plus 15 goals, which are the actions, lead to goal number 16. Right? So if you have to reduce hunger or poverty, or we have to take care of health, all these are actions. And goal number 4 is knowledge and skills. So goal number 4 plus remaining 15 goals equals goal number 16. That is exactly what the definition of goal number 16 is in the committee of all these goals. So that is why in one of your slides, Samarth, you had given a quote of Swami Vivekananda, which was written in Hindi. I don't know many of the audience notice it or not. And translated to English, that Swami Vivekananda is that the secret to life is not the bliss alone. The secret to life lies in learning through experiences. And learning through experiences should result in goal number 60. And learning is goal number 4. And the experience are all those remaining 15 goals. So the new definition, in my opinion, of this is goal number 4's primacy is unequivocal, unchallenged. And the primacy of our target, the overall goal, is goal number 16. And the remaining goals are actions. That is how I put it. Now, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm talking to a group of very distinguished educators. And if I do not bring in a little bit of vocabulary of educationists, I think they will go out very disappointed. And therefore, let me bring some vocabulary here. So all of us are very, very fond of talking of 3 things in our education system. One is curricular goal. The second is curricular competencies. And the third is learning objectives. Now I'm giving you three parallels to these three things. So all the 17 goals are the goals of our being. So that is our curricular goal, 17 goals. And what are the competencies? Each goal has a target, and total number of targets is 169. So those are the goal competencies or curricular competencies. Those competencies we have to develop. So for example, when we say that no child should be left behind, that is a competency that we have to develop, which is one of the targets of goal number 4. But the goal number 4 is one of the curricular goals. So curricular goals 17, curricular competencies 169. Now we have learning objectives. Our class is incomplete if we have addressed the learning objectives and we have achieved it. For that, we have indicators here, and we have got as many as 247 indicators. So 17 goals, 169 targets, they become the competencies, and 247 indicators, they become the learning objectives. So that is how we have to look at it. And hence, we come back to goal number 16 now. So goal number 16 has got 11 targets. So when we talk of goal number 16, 11 target means if goal number 16 is the curricular goal, it has got 16 competencies and then so many indicators. So that is how we have to look at it. And then we have to bring it to the fore. Next, Nisha. So I have already answered it, but I will just run through it that why we want to prioritize goal number 16. I have already explained it, but if we want to put it in words, it is the foundation for progress. It's interconnectedness. It promotes resilience. It works for leaving no one behind, and it brings trust and collaboration in the societies. Because, ultimately, you see, it is just a coincidence that only today, the largest democracy in the world is going to its elections, and today the election dates are announced. Now, imagine the chief election commissioner, while speaking, he said that the number of voters that we have in this country is equivalent to many countries' population in the world. So, such a large democracy. So, how this voting mechanism works, how we are valuing each vote of every single eligible voter. Not only that, you'll be very surprised to know that this time the Election Commission in India has invited pre-voter eligibility forms, and more than 18 lakh would-be 18s had already applied. And you know what has happened? On 1st of April, 5 lakh students or boys and girls, they will turn 18 and they have automatically got the voting rights. Now, if this was not pre-planned, you imagine these people would have been denied their franchise right. So this is just a very good example of how we are working towards SD16, because peace, justice, and strong institutions to work for equity and to work for equal rights and to work for providing everything that a citizenship has the right to do is the responsibility of the government. And the voting is a vehicle for producing that strong governance. So we have to bring all these things. When I come to my last slide now, well, could you come to the last slide, please, Nisha, so that I can just seamlessly embed it into? So now the question is, how do we bring it? So one example I have already given, that in our discussions, can we bring a replica or a microcosm of a democratic election in our institutions? Let's say for a student council, let's say for SDG ambassador or climate activist or whatever it is. I think that will be experiential learning for all those things. Most of us, with great distinction, we have our model United Nations. We have debating clubs. What are the topics that we take? And what is the culmination of it? And what is the result of it? What is the format of it? And how do we bring it in the light of goal number 16, I think that is something that we can do. Human right education, how do we provide it? So our institutions, let us say for a school X, I think could be a great model of implementing goal number 16. How strong we are, how do we bring peace? Peace means how do we resolve our conflicts? How do we bring democratic rights? How do we give a space to voices of the students, of the parents, of the teachers? How strong grievance redressal mechanism we have? How do we practice equality, gender or otherwise? How do we take care of the people who are working in our institutions, who have some challenges, difficulties, health issues, and so on and so forth? I think we don't have to go anywhere else. We can just document it and we can just bring in this for look, this is goal number 16, and our institution is a model for that. And these are the activities we have done under each target, and that is what we are doing. Civic engagement, how do we engage? So one example I gave you, how do we engage with the municipal corporation? How do we engage with the government? How do we engage with the regulatory authorities? How do we approach them? I think all this training can be given to our students. Community service. I think one very important thing is that all our students, when they come to the schools, the school gate closes behind them, and then they come in a very protected campus. They spend 14, 15 hours, but we have to remember this, that when they graduate after class 12, they will turn back, that gate will open, and what they will face is the vast expanse of the universe. So ultimately, they have to go back to the universe from where they came, and the gates goes behind them to give them protection. But these 14, 15 years, we have to prepare them to go in the same universe. So the community service is very, very important in this. Peer mediation, Samarth has already talked quite a lot about it. Policy analysis and advocacy, that is very, very important. In our curriculum, particularly the senior students, we talk a lot about equality, the income, and how to calculate it, and this and that. I think we should convert it into a very sincere, intentional, systematic policy analysis. And we should be in a position to give some policy. If nothing else, can we give them some information about how the tendency of substance abuse is increasing among the children? All of us are facing it. But are we giving any policy analysis? Are we doing something? Can we talk to the social organization? Can we talk to the social works department, where we can take what are their initiatives? What can we do? Who are the experts? All this will fall under policy analysis and advocate. Peace building, very, very important thing. How do we resolve conflicts? How do we bring two children? How do we bring one single child who has developed some conflict with herself or himself? Many children in this adolescent age, they develop some inferiority complex, whether with respect to their body, with respect to their parentage, with respect to their performances, and so on and so forth. So peace building is not always between two people. It is also within us, between person and person herself. And curricular mapping and embedding. That is something very, very important. Before this program began, Veronica was talking about how she has embedded it in her English teaching and other things. I think that is something I would challenge each one of us, that how can we map our curriculum, whether it is science or mathematics. So say, for example, the food security. We talk of food security. So can we map it, how the food is produced, how the food is supplied, what is the supply chain, how it is consumed? And the moment we talk of, we will immediately come to responsible consumption and responsible production. We'll go to another goal. And food security is such a crucial issue, whether it is climate change, what is happening, sea level is rising somewhere, but how it is impacting the people. I think this analytical, research-based mapping should be done and embedded into our curriculum. And then we will find the classroom experiences are different, the pedagogical experiences are different, the engagement of the children will enhance, in my opinion. and probably we'll be able to do a better job. So there are numerous examples, whether it is social sciences, the human right education, how we have to bring it, what do we learn from our past, how do we prepare for future, mathematical modeling, I mean, the children should study that traffic congestion is a problem, and red light jumping is an attitudinal issue. Can we develop a model? Can we give some policy input to this? So I think there are numerous examples. Each one of you, it is only a matter of just thinking and mapping and consciously bringing these goals and targets and indicators into this thing, and probably we'll be able to do a fantastic job. So all that I'm trying to tell all of you here is not different from what Samarth has said, not different from all of us say all the time, that I have always considered these goals as the new value paradigm. And if you go to the level of spiritualism, I think no education is of any value if we do not develop sensitivity, empathy, compassion for others. So if our young children are trained right from the beginning, the Kofi, I think the Ban Ki-moon, who was involved in enunciating these things, he famously said that these goals are for everybody between age 4 and age 100, which means right from the schools we can implement it, and right from the end of our life we can continue to strive to these goals, and then only we can achieve the 5 pillars on which these goals are resting. And those 5 pillars are people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. So in fact, when I was trying to tell you the goals and competencies and all that, I should have added these 5 pillars also, that the 5 pillars are on top, 17 goals come there, 169 next, and 247 at the last. And that is what the message of SDG is, and that is what the importance of SDG 16 is. Thank you very much. Here I rest my case, Samarth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pandey, and very, very insightful. Ms. Dhillon, I hand over the stage to you. And if you have any other questions, any other things that you would like to ask or share, please feel free to do so. Ms. Dhillon.
So, first of all, a heartfelt thanks right from deep inside to Samarth and to Ashok Pandey sir. We feel very privileged and honored to listen to both of you. Both the speakers are so experienced and it was so insightful. There were different perspectives. Some of the perspectives we had not thought of. So it was an eye opener for many of us, for me also. Maybe with this added information which we have now, maybe we can work all the more and rise up for peace. And Samarth and Sir, we have very, very energetic educators here. They're par excellence. We have been knowing each other for the past 4 years. We've been working together for SDGs. And now the cornerstone, the SDG 16, we are all there in it together. And we're going to work very, very hard. Our small steps would be firm steps, but would take the students far ahead. We would change this world. We would look into the policies. We'll look into that traffic problem which you talked about. We'll look into that ambulance which you can provide. We'll look into everything. It's from a heart. Nobody told us to participate. Nobody told us that we should be doing it. But we educators are not limited to the 4 walls of the classroom or finishing our curriculum and preparing them for a board exam or for a school examination. We are there to prepare them for a life, an unknown life, but a sustainable life and a peaceful life. That's what we pray. And we're all together in this, right? So now we have some time and we all can speak, and anybody who would like to speak can go ahead. Sandra, you sent such a beautiful mail. I still have to reply, I'm sorry for that.
No
But
worries.
I would be doing so. It's such a beautiful mail. Now,
No
we
problem.
thank you so much. And Sister Prema, I think I'm so delighted to see you. I've studied in a convent school from St. Joseph's Convent, Bhopal, and you being in this means so much for all of us. Thank you for joining us, sister. And now, Nadezhda, I see you from all the way from Russia. How are you, sweetheart? You
May
have been
may
a yeah, yeah,
may I just request all also if we can maybe
yeah.
turn on our cameras and take a nice group photograph.
Yes, we must. Come
Yes.
on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Come on, let's do it.
Like
So we have
last
all
time,
the
I would request all of you to just switch on your cameras. If possible, it'll be great. We are such a dynamic and energetic group, and as Ms. Dillon said, and I mean, it is evident in the work that we are doing.
World will be a loser if they don't see their faces, Samar.
Yes,
These
absolutely.
SDG 16 ambassadors.
Leaders, yes.
And Samarth always says, set your hair right if you want, but please switch on your camera. Half a second for
Yes,
that. So half a
yes,
second for that, and let's switch on. My God, touch wood. Love you all, sweethearts. Oh, that's
yes,
such a wonderful, energetic group. I'm
yes,
just trying to
yes.
read the names. My. That's so good. Love you all. And thank you, Samarth, for telling us to do. And thank you, sir, for telling us that world would be a loser. Ashok Pandey, sir, if we don't
Thank
switch
you.
on our cameras.
And in
That's
fact,
so.
some of the participants have not switched on the cameras. I'm sure they're taking
Yeah.
time to
No,
just set
no.
the frame right.
Maybe,
Okay,
they've
yes,
joined from
yes.
two
Two
this thing
places.
because I see Joyita, she had switched on her camera, but she's
Yes,
still there. Maybe two device or something like that, or maybe
sure,
not.
sure, sure.
But we
So,
all
all right.
can.
So we'll take the first photo right now, and
Yeah.
please give your best smile. I already see a lot of people smiling. All right, one, two, and three. All right, that's photo one. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Lovely. Lovely. And one, if we can take with a thumbs up or some gesture that you could make, that will be absolutely fantastic.
So
I like Sandra. I like what Sandra
yeah,
is
yeah.
doing.
I
Yes.
even I like that,
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
Joyita ji, all right. Fantastic. Dr.
Nadezhda is
Pandey is
out.
Dr.
Yeah.
Pandey is still thinking of what to do, the gesture to make.
Yeah. No,
All
I
right.
was. Oh,
All right.
thanks.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. So one, no, just 1 second. One, two, and three. All right. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And if
Thank you.
we do have time in case you have any questions, any comments,
Yes.
any thoughts, please feel free to share.
There were two hands up. Please
Yes.
unmute yourself. Yes, there were two people who had. One was green, and other was that's a name by which and the person has joined. Questions are plenty, but we have to speak it out. Come on. So
Yes,
yes,
Prahasini
sister.
ji. Yes, Sister Prahash. Ma'am, I think you're muted.
Sister, we really can't hear you.
Uh,
Something has to be done. You seems to be unmuted. Yeah, it's muted now. Yeah, we really can't hear you, sister. We really can't hear you. So who would
if you
like to?
if you can chat, if you can type in the chat, then we'll be very happy to maybe
Yes.
if there's a problem.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think sister can write something in the chat box.
yes.
That will be
Yes.
fine.
Anyone else? Okay, Ayappa Raji, and then Miss
Good evening, sir.
Ikmidi.
We have Tatiana
Thank,
also. Yeah. Yes, Ayappa, go. Go ahead.
thank you so much, Ashok sir. This is what we were waiting for. Always we get a new perspective. Today also we got the new perspective of SDG 16. Combined with another other SDG goals. Thank you so much. And we were waiting for some activities, what we have to do, because only yesterday we were discussing about that in my school. So what to
Okay.
do. So for that also you gave a few ideas. Thank you so much. The third thing is really you touch upon that food security, which is a need
Yeah.
of an hour, and we need to think about a lot. Thank you so much. This is why we are waiting and we are asking you, please talk
Hmm.
to us whenever you are
Sure.
free. We know
Sure.
we understand your the timing also, but still please share with us so that the people like us will benefited a lot. Thank you so much,
No,
sir.
no,
Thank you.
I'm available. Next time, if I'm not here, please blame Mrs. Dillon and Samarth. You just question them why I'm not there. As simple as that.
Okay, sure. Always welcome, sir. So we'll be
Thank you.
discussing about the activities, Ayappa sir, maybe next Saturday on 22nd, because some of us are new and some of us are, we've already had the experience. So we will be using plenty of IT tools. And if any school or any team needs some training sessions, we volunteer to do it with all love and affection and care. So some of the schools we've already wanted it and we've started with it, but we're always there for everybody. So maybe on 22nd, we meet at 6 p.m. when we discuss the first set of activities. Once it is done, the next time we'll be sharing what the children have done it and how they have done it. And then we'll just put the activities, a document, and we'll just have it in the group. So first time we're going to discuss it. Later on, we'll be just sharing it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Patil sir,
Hello.
how are you?
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. I'm very glad to meet with all of us. Thank you for giving entry in this project. My team is also 16 school leaders are with this project now. Thank you, ma'am.
Patil sir is
Thank you, Dr.
from Maharashtra, and he has a team of educators and principals from the corporation school. कौन से स्कूल हैं पाटिल सर आपके? क्या मैं थोड़ा गलत बोल रही हूँ शायद?
जिला परिषद के भी है
जिला परिषद, yeah.
और कुछ प्राइवेट भी है, मैम.
अच्छा.
Right.
He's
Thank
a
you,
leader
Dr.
there.
Patil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
ma'am.
too good, and he's wonderful, and he's one of our regional ambassadors also.
Ambassadors. Yes. Sister Pragadhini is there. Yes, ma'am.
I hope now you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
I am very
We are
much
waiting
glad and delighted to be a part of this group. And I thank each and every one of you for inviting me and making me a member. It's so inspiring, so motivating for me, as well as for my school and for my student and teachers. I was sharing, but I will try my best to join my teachers too in this group and to have
Yes.
more information for them to implement in the school. I just inspired with the way all of you are inspiring us as educators to take a step in our school to motivate our teachers and the students for action, not only for knowledge. I just wanted to say I was called by someone who brought me to this group to join. So I am very much thankful to Miss Lorraine from USA. She is the
Yes,
one who introduced.
okay. Peace
Yeah,
song.
she is the one I was working with her for Peace for song. So she is the one who introduced me to this. Actually, I am from Sri Lanka, and as a missionary, I am working in Pakistan.
Oh,
So
yes.
at
You
the
have.
moment, I'm a principal of a school. So I'm very glad and just want to inspire you, all of you. In my school, student instead of saying good morning, they say in the morning, peace be with you. So that was, yes, our teachers and all our students, they wish in the morning, peace be with you. So with this thought, I will motivate my teachers and students, and I'm glad that you will hear from Pakistan, many will join. I will ask other school teachers, principal also to be a part of this program. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sister.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sister. I recall you introduced yourself, and then, yeah, I got this message. Thank you. We are honored. And all thanks to Lorraine also, all the way from US. She connected so many schools. We were also part of a peace song, so no wonder It's so good.
Swati ji?
Sandra,
Oh,
Sandra
sorry,
is,
sorry.
I'm sorry, after that, Sandra is also into music. She has her own band. Tell us something about your band and what are you doing and how do you go about the peace tracks?
Oh, yes, wonderful. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so excited. Peace Tracks is an online virtual cross-cultural music program where we group students from different parts of the world and we put them in bands and they work together and they write music about the change, the positive change they want to see in the world. And then at the end of every session, we have a live stream concert on YouTube where we stream all the videos and we have a live chat where all the students can support each other. And it's really about teaching them about working together with people who are different and similar and using music to create peace and positive change in the world. And we are very grateful that we received a 2-year US State Department grant.
Yes, yes.
And we're on our second session of 4 with students from the US, Palestine, Morocco, and Jordan. Thank you.
Okay, that's so good. That's so good. Yes, I think over to Samarth. You were inviting Swati. Please go ahead. Swati, are you there? Would you like to say something, please? I know you were traveling.
No, it's okay, ma'am. I reached home.
Oh,
can you hear
yes,
me?
there you are.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Samat sir, for giving me this chance to speak. I'll make it very quick. I have 2 queries, 2 requests. First one reasonable, second one unreasonable, and 1 query. I'll make it very fast. My first reasonable request, can Ashok sir be called through this 1 year? Can we hear him once every month? Please,
Yes.
please. Okay.
Definitely,
I
yes.
have been, he doesn't even know that there are people who have been
Okay.
inducted into the world of SDGs simply listening to him during the COVID
Yes.
years. And sir, I'm one of them. So
Thank you.
that's,
Thank you.
We
So
are also
I'm making
so many
I'm making this public commitment that I'll be available.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
thank you,
can't go
sir.
back now.
Lovely.
I can't go
Yes.
back now.
Thank you so much. My second unreasonable request is to Samarth sir. Sir, can your sessions be on the Saturdays instead of Friday evenings? Because if it's
Defi-
Friday, I'll miss out on all of those. I know
No,
it's
no,
unreasonable.
it is
It,
very reasonable. In fact, Saturdays work better, so Saturdays are fine with us. Absolutely. In fact, that's why we planned even today, for the Saturday, and this is what we are going to do.
Thank you, sir. And my last, this is a query. Like this entire week, I was working with my students. I just asked for them. Of course, we are going to get guidelines for all the activities from you. This week, I just gave it over to students. I'm calling them all peace angels. And I
Yes.
told them, so there's a competition, a kind of competition. It's like uh, whoever comes up with the best idea of a unique peace activity. So I thought if we could work on their ideas, I mean, activities which they are suggesting, those which are possible. So
Let me have.
are you, means if you
Yes.
see after, of
Yeah.
course, after
Sure.
discussing with you, can
Sure.
those also be accommodated? 1 or 2.
La- Thank you, Swati ji. And this is, I think, something that is a very important point. I must tell you that right now, around the world, this is not just limited to one country or other. Around the world, there's a lot of push for youth mainstreaming. And this is something that you would all hear a lot. Meaningful engagement of young people, mainstreaming youth voices. Now, these are not empty words. This is what this means is bringing young people and respecting their decisions, respecting their thoughts, and integrating their ideas into our work. Because it should be a collaborative exercise where what young people are thinking, we should adapt to what they want. Right. So this is something that I would actually encourage all of you to undertake in your school. It's very easy to do. Giving students that sense and a real sense. It's not just something that we are making up. What is one thing that you would like to do? You design an activity, you tell us an idea, and we are going to do it for you. So that will be real youth mainstreaming. What we are also wanting to do through the course of the year is to have some youth champions from your or youth angels or youth peace angels, like Swati ji said, from each of your institutions, if we can have, if not all, then at least a few, who can come in and actually start deliberating on different ideas. So, Swatiji, this is a very important thing. I would strongly encourage you. It's not just about whether we'll vet it or not, or whether we'll say yes or no. We will definitely do. If young people want it to be done, we will definitely do it. No question about it. And this is an exercise that I would encourage all of you to do. Right now, this is the number one priority, mainstreaming youth voices. And this is one way, one very important way of doing it, getting them to be a part of the decision-making process. It's not something that is limited to educators. If we are working for young people, we would like young people to decide what is the best for them and what they want to do, of course, with all our mentorship and guidance. So this is an exercise that all of you should undertake. And Swatiji, we are definitely going to go for it. And thank you very much for raising this very important point. I must also finally very quickly tell you that right now around within the UN system, there are a lot of UN youth forums that are taking place. Not just one, many across different levels. In fact, even at UNODC, where I work, there is a youth accelerator framework that we have designed, which works around the world. There are different UN commissions that are there. There are different UN events that are there around the world that are happening. And they always need talented young people who have designed activities, who have thought of ideas, who have led those initiatives, and who can speak very well. So we would like to give, see if we can have some young representatives, youth champions like this. We have previously, of course, had many students from India and South Asia, including those from Miss Dhillon's school, Dr. Pandey's school, who have participated in such forums. And it is a huge life-changing exercise because it opens the mind. So thank you, Swatiji, for raising this very important aspect. And I would encourage this to be replicated across your institutions as well. And we are
Thank you.
definitely game for this.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you
May I
very
come
much.
in, Samarth? I think Alifia also wanted to say something.
Yeah, yeah.
Am I right?
Alifia is raising a
Alifia,
hand.
you
Yeah.
go ahead first, then I'll come. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Paramjeet ma'am, Samarth sir, for giving this opportunity. I have a question to Samarth sir. Uh, may I? Yes.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
audible?
please.
Yes.
You
Yes.
are.
Um,
You
If it's
are.
a
Go ahead.
if it's an easy question, then to me, otherwise to Ms. Dhillon and Dr. Pandey.
It's a very easy question.
Yes.
As we are working together since COVID times, I'm working under
Yes.
Paramjeet ma'am. We are all together, but there are many schools which are joining from the region, and
Right.
students are not even aware about what is sustainable development goals. So I
Yes.
request Paramjeet ma'am and Samarth sir to have a session only for students in order to get them to understand why we are having this particular project and why we are looking forward for Rise Up for Peace. Because
Definitely.
there are students who will be joining from very rural and remote areas who do not even have access.
Yes.
So can we have one session only for students?
Yes, Alifia ji, a very important point, and this is something that we are going to do. In March, we couldn't do it because, I mean, ideally we should have started with this, but we couldn't do it because of the exams. But from the next month onwards, we do hope that we will have student engagements as well. Please feel free, and this is to everyone, please feel free to have, organize sessions, organize, interventions where we can come in, not just us, we have a range of global experts who can come in and talk to students, especially with regard to rural areas and to vulnerable groups or groups, where you need, where you need some digital support or some sort of language support. We do understand that. We have worked with a lot of rural students, with a lot of students from different diverse backgrounds. And the idea is to customize, what we are saying in a language and in a format that they understand. So we'll be very open to design such activities, such interventions. In fact, we have even worked, you would not believe it, but we have actually had a very strong work even over WhatsApp. with students who had extremely limited WhatsApp network access. They couldn't come on an online platform like this. We worked through audio notes, we worked through WhatsApp, and it has been a very powerful exercise. So right from starting, right from designing such an intervention to actually executing it, we have that capacity, and we'll be very happy to work with you, your schools, and other institutions, even with rural areas. The ultimate idea of Rise Up for Peace is also to bridge divides, any gaps that we have, leaving no one behind. So if you can connect us to such students, such educators who may need support, but they don't know how to go about it, we'll be happy to work with them and sort of guide them on how it can be done. We have the capacity, we have the experience, so please feel free to get in touch. And definitely with students, this is non-negotiable for us. We do have to have students involved, young people involved in a lot of ways. So from next month onwards, once the exams are over, definitely count us in. And if all of you are developing some sort of interventions, we are always available to connect virtually, and we can try and find ways in which we can maybe attend in person. I won't guarantee, but we can definitely do something in a hybrid format or a virtual format. We are always available. Literally, I mean, at least I am available 24 hours. So you can actually design as per the convenience of the students, as it's not like a 9 to 5 thing, as convenient for the students, and as well as convenient for all of you. So thank you, Alifia ji, for raising that. We are very open to your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to put in two things. One, thank you, Swati, for your very kind words. And we did one exercise, 100 acts of kindness.
Yes.
And I see a parallel between that and what you are saying. You can initiate 100 acts of peace building, right? And let that be a school-wide activity. Some of them, of course, can go to Samarth, as he said, and you can promote and all that. But I mean, there is no dearth of ideas as far as peace building is concerned. So that's a great idea, and you should do that. Now, I also wanted to add here one bit of information that we have talked about goal number 16 and all that. And you may be wondering why UNODC is only talking of goal number 16 and not of other goals. I just wanted all of you to know that all the goals, United Nations has, attributed these goals to UN custodians, So United Nations has custodian agencies. So like UNICEF is there, UNESCO is there, UNDP is there, and UNODC is there, right? So goal number 16, the overwhelming custodian for goal number 16 is UNODC and Samarth Pathak, right? And therefore, and Mrs. Dhillon. And therefore, we have to take it forward in the right earnest, because if we do not work for this, who else will work? And as I said, we established the relationship between other goals and goal number 16. So I think no doubt should be left in anyone's mind. Samarth, am I right?
Yes, but I'm working under the guidance of of course, all of you, but Dr. Pandey, Ms. Dhillon, who have been very instrumental in SDG 16 education. So thank you, sir, for your kind words for that, but absolutely right. So SDG 16 is a UNODC thing. We are a custodian of a lot of conventions, and that also gives us access to a lot of forums where such efforts can be actively promoted.
Yeah.
So Veronica has raised her hand in case Veronica would like to say.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple of questions. Number one, you mentioned the possibility of some roundtables with students, some virtual roundtable with students, and I would like to discuss the possibility of that. Not necessarily here. Maybe we can do it later through the chat, because I know that in my case there is a huge time gap. We are 8.5 hours separated, but I would certainly like to have a roundtable and a discussion with some of you at some point with one of my groups, at least with one of my groups. If I could get more of them involved, it would be better. Would that be possible?
Sure, absolutely. And we can work out the time difference well. I mean, we look at your convenience as well. And we can always, come up with an arrangement. Definitely. I mean, please count us in, Veronica. I know that you have such a treasure trove of ideas, and we are very willing to work with you. So anything as you prefer, we'd be very happy to work something out.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to start working on that, and then I'll be in touch with you. My second question is, you mentioned some forums of the United Nations that need young voices of students who can speak well. Could you tell us more? Could you give us more information about that in the chat?
Sure.
Some resources.
Sure. I'll just tell you very quickly. Of course, there are a lot of different platforms that are there available. But for example, just as an example, there are two very important commissions, UN commissions. One is the Commission on Narcotic Drugs, CND, which is a huge UN platform, and all the member states are converge every year for the Commission on Narcotic Drugs. It sounds, and it is a very serious and a very sort of sensitive matter, but you always have a youth forum that aligns with the CND, with the Commission on Narcotic Drugs. You could maybe Google it. It recently concluded. It was a very successful exercise over about about 45 countries, if I'm not mistaken, were young people from 45 countries were there. So youth representatives from each country, not just talking about these issues, not just learning about these issues, but actually, coming up with a sort of declaration which actually goes to the commission. I have been a part of the Kyoto Declaration. Personally, I've been a part of the Kyoto Declaration process. So the way it works is there's a global sort of a forum on lawfulness that happens every year in Japan. At least for the last 3 years, it's been happening in Japan because the Kyoto Declaration, has been there. And every year you have about 120, 125 students from across the world coming in, talking about issues, and then coming up with a list of recommendations that actually is presented to the commission in a very formal ceremony. So and some of those ideas are actually taken up. So these are sort of forums which not only give a lot of confidence to students, but they are very actually important platforms where youth voices can be plugged in. And these are young people just like your students. These are not like diplomats or anything. They are youth representatives, students who are doing well, students who are very committed to such causes, and they coming and articulating what they want, talking to other students, other countries, and sort of coming up with this declaration. It's a very interesting exercise. I've been a part of the sort of the overall organizing of such forums. So I have a lot of experience in this, and I'll be very happy to also guide some of the students that you select, not all, on how they could possibly, sort of go about this. It's a very interesting life. I've personally seen students whose complete demeanor have changed, because of such forums, and very happy to explore opportunities where we can work together on this.
I'm taking notes of what you're saying, and later if you can. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention, this Kyoto Declaration is not a standalone thing. This is part of the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, a body called CCPCJ, which is a part of the UN, and the highest commission right now in the UN on crime prevention and criminal justice. So Kyoto Declaration feeds into the CCPCJ mechanism, which is again a huge opportunity.
All right, no, thank you.
Okay,
So-
Samad, Mr. Dhillon, anything else?
That's what I was coming to, that we have crossed that 1 hour and the discussion also for 25 minutes. I think we need to call it a day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Heartfelt thanks. Wonderful team members, the leaders in the classroom, the change agents, the ambassadors of peace. We are all out to look into this project and take it forward with all the josh and all the enthusiasm and everything which we can do for our children and build a sustainable, peaceful world. All right. Thank you so much. And we meet on 22nd where we discuss the activities, and that's how we go. Right?